Hello, welcome to our roundup of May 2021's PS Plus. There's 3 games this month, and they are Battlefield 5, Stranded Deep, and Wreckfest. So let's begin with Battlefield 5. Battlefield 5 is developed by DICE, or D-I-C-E, I'm not sure, but they are owned by EA, and it was released in September 2018. Despite it being called Battlefield 5, it is not the 5th game in the series. There are many others before it, but I don't know if the other ones are just side stories, I'm not sure, but this is the 5th of the numbered games. This game is a first-person shooter, and I think what I maybe didn't quite realise is that most people play this game for the online stuff, not the single-player campaign. So I probably should have tried some of the multiplayer during my Let's Try, but I thought I'd given the single player a good go anyway. But for some reason, people just don't really seem to like the campaign very much. I don't know why, because I kind of liked what I played, and I feel like if I liked that kind of game, it seems very good. I'll explain that in a bit more detail because that didn't make a lot of sense. But I'll start at the beginning. So I thought the opening was really, really good. It was like a movie, and it kind of threw you straight in. I really liked how cinematic it was, and that it wasn't really giving you any prompts or anything like that. And it was quite sad, and I really, really enjoyed the story that it was telling. And I feel like it really effectively tried to say what it was trying to say. You know, sometimes I feel like things are made and they don't quite manage to kind of gather the feelings that they want you to based on whatever it is they're trying to tell you. Whereas this, it felt really epic and it felt really sad. And it was also giving you that feeling of just being thrown into a war zone, and so it was quite scary as well. Not scary, but adrenaline filled and what am I doing? It felt a little bit overwhelming, but in a good way, you know? How it was supposed to feel, I assume. And overall, I just thought it was very effective. And I'm not sure if there's any more gameplay like that in the game. I don't think there is. But even that on its own was it was a very cool way to spend however long it took. 20 minutes or whatever it was. Maybe less even. And I'm glad that I played the game just so that I could play that little bit. Because it wasn't win or fail. It wasn't oh, die and respawn. It was linear, and it told the story exactly how it wanted to. Like I say, I can't really talk about the multiplayer stuff, but I can talk about the single player stuff that I tried. I didn't finish a level. The levels were a lot bigger than I expected them to be, but also there's less of them than I expected them to be. So I guess that makes sense, less of them, but they are bigger. And I remember the conclusion that I came to as I was playing, and how I would have described it was a war version of Hitman. You seem to be put into this open world level, and you have your objectives that you need to carry out, but it kind of seems like you can do it in the way that you want to. You don't have to do one thing or another, and it felt for example, in the mission that I was doing, stealth was the approach that seemed the best way. And I guess that's why else it felt a bit like Hitman. So you're kind of free to look around the environment, see what you could see that would help you, try and turn the alarm off before you started taking people out in case you got caught, and stuff like that. And the level, like I say, it was way bigger than I expected, and it was a bit, I don't think sandbox is the right word, but it was a little bit sandboxy. There were vehicles, so I went and stole a vehicle and just tried to force my way through the mission. Although I didn't think that the vehicles drove very well, but that's a different matter. as far as how the game felt, it just felt like a standard first-person shooter to me. I didn't feel like it felt good or bad. I think maybe somebody that enjoys that genre more would be able to share more insight on the gun, like how the guns felt and the shooting felt and everything like that. I can only comment and say the only thing that felt bad to me was the driving. That felt awful. But other than that, like, I don't really understand why people aren't so struck on it. Maybe they're just underwhelmed, I don't know, but I was overwhelmed more than anything else. Wasn't what I was expecting at all. I was expecting more like a Call of Duty style story. It wasn't like that. It was freedom. It was just, yeah, go at this how you want to and don't get caught doing it. Although, yeah, I guess other missions, and even probably later in the one that I was doing, you won't have to use stealth. Like, I'm sure you'll be able to go guns blazing as well. You might even be able to in that mission, I'm not sure. But that's kind of all I can really say about Battlefield 5. It was never going to be my kind of game. Again, it's a shame I didn't try any of the multiplayer, but again, I assumed that would just be the same as COD, so maybe I shouldn't make assumptions like that. Next up is Stranded Deep. This is developed by Beam Team Games and was released in January 2015, so I feel like this is the oldest game we've had in a while, and it's not that old, it's like 6 years old. But I quite like getting older games because there's a lot that I missed out on from those kind of, I was going to say generations, that's a bit over the top, isn't it? From those eras, oh man, what's up with me? From those times, from those years. So I'm very happy to be able to catch up on the random little things that I probably would never buy, even though I kind of had my eye on some. And this is one where I did have my eye on it. I don't play very many survival games at all, really, but I'm always like a little bit curious about them on the side. And so secretly, well, not even secretly, I was really happy that this was a PS Plus game. So when I tried it, I really wanted to like it a lot more than I did. There's quite a lot of things that I can say about it that they could have done that would have made it better to me at least. But I don't know how worth it is doing that. I'll go through a few points just so that people can know why I didn't like it. Because if you can look past that kind of thing, you might love it. But basically, yeah, the game is you're in a plane crash and you land with a dinghy thing. I've forgotten what you call them, like a rubber dinghy, like inflatable thing. And you paddle it up to a deserted island and you got to try and survive from that. There's a day and night cycle and you have a crafting menu. So you start off, you get a rock and then you start gathering resources so that you can make more things with your crafting. And then eventually you want to go and start exploring other islands. You need to maintain your food, your water, your health. I don't remember all of the stats specifically. Your heat, temperature, I think might have been one of them. And that's kind of the gist. Like, it's your typical survival game. Now, it's more of the execution of it that I didn't like. Everything felt very finicky. Oh, it's in first person is another note to bear in mind. It was so finicky to try and, for example, press on the right thing. It took me so long to even figure out how to use the raft because you had to specifically pick up the paddle and then paddle, and then you had to put the paddle back down. And where that can be immersive sometimes, it was far too much for me. Like, the paddle's just one example, but you also obviously only have very limited space to carry things. So then you have your paddle, and then Sometimes it felt very choosy where it would let me go, like where it would let me jump to and where it wouldn't let me jump to. And I would be like running low on supplies. I'd find something that looked like it had supplies, but then I couldn't get into it. Progression felt like it was coming along at a decent rate. I really liked the sense of progression, and I wanted to do more of that, but ultimately the frustration won out. The controls were just very frustrating. I felt more frustrated than I did anything else while I was playing, and that's not a game, obviously, that I really want to sink very much time into. Like, I wrote in my notes here that I really like the idea, but I just didn't really find it very fun. And I think that kind of sums up how I feel about the game. It's quite janky, in my opinion, and it just didn't have that hook that I need to like get into it and want to come back, and I was just more turned off than anything else, unfortunately. Finally, the third game this month is Wreckfest. Now this is a game that was released in June 2018, but it has just been released on PS5. So this game was only for the PS5. This wasn't a PS4 version. You could only claim it on the PS5. It's developed by Bugbear Entertainment, and what I got from looking it up a little bit is, although it was released in June 2018, it had actually had a very long early access before that. I think it had some development stuff going on, but in the end they managed to bring us this game. And basically it's a demolition derby type game with some racing too. It has its own like single player campaign-y type thing. I don't know if it's a campaign or more just like, yeah, it's a campaign. Like, you've got to work your way up through the different leagues. You start off in the junior league or whatever it was called, work up to amateur, work up to pro, and on your journey you are unlocking new stuff that you can adapt your car with. And then there is also online multiplayer, which you can then obviously kit your car out with the stuff that you've unlocked. You can decorate it, which was my favourite thing. And then you can go and play against real people. This game, so it hasn't come long after Destruction All-Stars, which we got maybe 2 months ago, I think, which was also like a demolition derby for PS5, except it had a very different tone. That is very cartoony and very like trying to be hype and bright colours and stuff like that, where this one is like realistic. You know, you've got your battered up car, it's all real colours, you're going into different arenas that are like more made out of real, you know, real materials and stuff like that. It's less arcade looking and more just demolition derby looking, I guess. And I kind of like the idea of the progression in the single player campaign, because the first one I did, we started out on lawnmowers. Like, I did not expect to be doing a demolition derby on lawnmowers, and I found it quite funny that people were just going flying. It didn't really offer a tutorial or anything, and that was fine because you can change the difficulty of the AI that you are, fighting against, pretty much fighting against. So I really appreciated that, and it gave you enough time to try and learn, and it didn't feel like there was a lot to learn. Just smash is what you need to learn, right? Wreck 'em, get wrecked. So I did okay, I did well on that. Then I tried a race, and that was a different story. So you can manually change your gears and stuff. I don't drive a car, so maybe I was just doing it all wrong, but I could not win the first race, which is quite funny. But I could easily win the demolition derbies, so I was going to say go figure, but it's not that difficult to figure out, really. I really like the system of being able to see how damaged the other cars are. that makes people then start to like target the ones that you can wreck. I like the point system. You get some points just for hitting them, you get more points for T-boning them, and then you get more points for wrecking them. I think it's a cool system. Like, my car felt very slow and heavy and lethargic, I was gonna say, but I imagine that gets better the more you play. But overall, I can mainly just say that I liked it better than Destruction All-Stars. There's things that I didn't like about it. I didn't like the camera. I thought the camera was really awful. I think maybe people playing it would obviously get used to it, but for me, I was just trying to nudge the camera a little bit, like out of instinct, like you can do in most car games. But no, you could not do that. It would only, if you like moved your stick right, it would show you 90 degrees to the right. Same thing to the left or backwards, it would show you, you know, behind you. And that's too difficult for me. I can't. I just wanted to look around the sides of me, like where I was trying to aim the camera, but that didn't seem to be an option. Another thing that I didn't like about it was I couldn't find any options in the multiplayer as to whether to turn off other people's mics or not. And I think that should be an easy option to find, you know what? You just might not want to hear other people sometimes. And I kind of wanted to make sure that mine was definitely turned off, but I still don't know. Maybe people were just hearing me doing my commentary. That's kind of all I didn't like about it, really. Oh, and the fact that I couldn't find a match when I pressed on quick match. There was nothing. I was waiting for like what felt like hours. It wasn't hours, it was minutes. But I was waiting there for a good while and I couldn't get a match. But then I managed to work around it by just going onto the Derby lobby, and there was a match in there. So after that, it was quick going, just one game after the next, and it was fine. Although we didn't have 16 people. But yeah, I guess another point, some of the derbies are like respawn, see how many times you can wreck people without getting wrecked. Some of them are like more battle royale, where you have to be the last one left. And all of the multiplayer ones I played was just the full 5 minutes with respawning. I don't know if you do the knockout one in multiplayer, but you definitely can in the main campaign, the single player campaign. So yeah, I don't know. I liked it more than I expected to. I liked it better than, because the only expectations I had was Destruction All-Stars, and I definitely liked it better than that, even though this is an older game. I just couldn't get away with the racing and stuff like that. I highly appreciated the customization. I thought it was great. You could like change your colours. It gave you like a full colour picker, which was really good. So you can pick your hue, you can pick your brightness, and you can pick your saturation, which, you know, allows for good customization on the car. And then I did like the fact that you'll be able to upgrade things as you go. That's really good. But I think that's pretty much all I can say about Wreckfest too. There's no cross-platform play, which kind of sucks. That probably doesn't help when you're trying to find a game and there's not enough players, because how many people have PS5s, and then how many people are playing this specific game on PS5 at this time? Like, it's less likely, I would say, than most of the platforms at this point. But it's kind of my fault. If I'd picked it up on one of the first days that it became a PS Plus game, maybe I would have found matches easier. But it just tells me that there may not be the longevity, which is a shame. So that's it regarding May's games, and I don't have a lot to say about the month really. It wasn't the best month for me. I appreciated getting a bit of variety, but I was, in my head or maybe even on here, I probably said, we had been getting a lot of third-person adventures, like action adventures or shooters maybe. Like just a very
wasn't just about the
big variety of games, but they were all like from the same perspective and, you know, large games. And I was thinking I would like some more variety, even though I like third person better than first person. I wouldn't mind some more variety, but not first person shooters either. But then we got first person shooter, but we did get a survival game. I don't see Wreckfest as being much variety, but you know, I suppose I can't really complain. It wasn't a strong month in my opinion. I can't do predictions for next month because we're already in July now and June is the next month. So I can just tell you straight away, the games for June are Operation Tango for PS5 only, which is a co-op spy game where one person plays as the spy and one person plays as the hacker, and you have to communicate and solve the puzzles, I guess. I will be playing that with a friend of mine. Star Wars Squadrons is a second game. I think it's like space fighting, like in vehicles. I'll see. I'm not a Star Wars fan. And I'm not sure how you say it. Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, which is, I think, a remake or a remaster of an older game, but I haven't done my research yet. But those are the 3 games that we're going to be playing next. And then after that, we will be doing my final PS Plus roundup, as that is going on like sort of an indefinite hiatus. So I guess I'll just explain again. At the end of the last roundup, I mentioned that I was thinking about stopping doing the roundups, and yeah, I've decided that's the best thing for me to do. It's a lot more work now that we're getting more games. I don't think anyone will particularly miss them, and I don't know, I think I'm struggling keeping up with streaming and YouTube, and I would like to be able to get back into doing some YouTube series as well as streaming, and not having the roundup to worry about each month is one thing that's really gonna just save me like a day of work. It doesn't take a whole day, but like by the time I've got my head going and stuff, it's a bit of work. So yeah, I'll do like a closing thing on the next one. And just for now, this has been May, and I will see everybody for the next video, which is Operation Tango, which I'm actually really looking forward to. So I will see you very soon. Bye bye.